Some Roses Are Red with your host, John Laws.
So with me in studio, if you will, we have Ericka and Delvis Malone, who are not only wonderful people, but they are my blood family, blood by blood and blood by marriage. And I just wanted to run a couple different questions by people who I think highly of, and people who I care about their opinions, and people who I think have valid viewpoints that I may or may not agree with. In this case, I probably do agree with, but people who have valid viewpoints and who can, most importantly, express those viewpoints without resulting to violence or anger. So that's one of the best positions you can be in, when you can freely express yourself without worrying about having a fight afterwards. So this edition is going to be themed around the holiday time of the year. So that would include Thanksgiving, that's going to include Christmas, that's going to include New Year's, all those times surrounding those. Rosh Hashanah, I believe, is at that time. Hanukkah, what else is? Kwanzaa's also there. Kwanzaa's there. So if I could, and either one of you could feel, or both of you, because we got time to feel, so that won't be a problem. First question I have for either or both of you is, over the last year, this 2018, what would you say that you have been the most thankful for? And I have 4 different caveats. Your first one is, what have you been the most thankful for personally, within your personal space, within your personal being? What would you say over the last 365 years, we'll go to the end of this year. So over the last 365, what have you personally, within yourself, being selfish if you will, been the most thankful for?
For me, I would say that I'm thankful for health. There's a lot of things happening, and being healthy for me is very important, because I sing, and singing is definitely something I have to make sure I stay in good health for. So, right. I've had, an occasional cold or something like that, but nothing major. No hospital stays for me. So I have been very, very, okay, I keep hitting.
It's okay.
Stop talking with my hands. I've just been very grateful to be healthy.
Okay.
I would say for financial stability.
Okay.
We don't have an overabundance of money, or, we're not wealthy people, but we do have what we need to sustain our family.
Right.
And there are lots of people who struggle and go from day to day, paycheck to paycheck. But I can say that we do have what we need to care for ourselves. And when things come up in emergency situations and we can handle them, that feels good.
Okay.
And so having the finances that we need is always a blessing for us.
That is definitely a plus. I would agree 310%, because there's only 2 times when I'm most uncomfortable, well, 3 times when I'm most uncomfortable, probably in this order: when I'm hungry, when I'm 4, hungry, sleepy, too hot, and if I'm broke. I'm usually most uncomfortable those 4 situations. If you find me there, if I'm in all 4, it's not a good time. I usually get quiet. I reserve, because I try not to explode, but those are the 4 times. So the second part of that same question, over the last year, what would you say that you have been the most thankful for professionally, if you will? So in your professional life, whatever you do for your 9 to 5 or your 12 to 8 or whatever your hours may be, what are you most thankful for over this last year professionally? And that one for me is always real small. So
actually, this is crazy, because she quit, but I was really, really thankful for the boss that I've had over the past year. She was pushing me to grow.
Okay.
She trusted me, and she believed in everything that I did, and she was the most supportive person that I've ever met professionally.
Okay.
And so she had my back, and she looked out for me, and then not just my well-being, she also considered my family. So when she was asking me to go the extra mile, she would consider how that would affect us as a family. When she was asking me to do something to stretch myself, she knew that it would cause me to grow. And so just everything that I learned from her, the benefits of working with her, and then also she was a person of faith, which was helpful.
That's huge.
Because, you know, having that in the workplace is already difficult, but having that person there to say, hey, let me pray for you because I know that this is difficult. And that was just truly a blessing for me, a positive experience this year.
I totally can agree.
For me, at the end of 2017, just before it ended, I was in a manager position. I had my own club and
Boys and Girls Club. Manager.
Well, it could have been, could have been a dance club.
The Blue Note. No, I'm just kidding. But and then circumstances happened where my immediate supervisor said, you know what, Delvis, before I let the powers that be in the place that you are throw you under the bus, we're gonna move you back to where you were. So I got a chance to go back to the place where I started, in the Boys and Girls Club, and it was a new manager and some new staff that I didn't know, but some familiar faces too. And I'm thankful for, just like Ericka said, that this particular manager was a person of faith. And we could talk, and we would pray, and we would do those things that you just couldn't do in a normal setting. We'd close the door and we'd invite people to come, and they would come. It was just awesome. So he's gone now. Again, he got another position. So it's just me there. But right now, you know, we're maintaining, and a new person's going to come in. But I'm just believing God for our family, that God's going to move us into something else.
Yeah, I would definitely say working in positions where I won't say that they're not people of faith, because I don't know, but I will say there are strong indications that they're not. So working in those capacities is definitely, I won't say a struggle, but it's definitely we'll say walking into the wind moment where you have to walk through foolishness, as I call it. I try to avoid that with all passion. So third part of that same question over the last year, in your immediate family, so that means within the household, the people that live with you, what are you the most thankful for 2018 for within that household? What Ericka had a hand raised.
I'm thankful for our family in general, because our family did not come together in a traditional way where we had all three of our kids, but we were blessed to have 3 kids, and we're blessed now to have 3 kids, and all of the different things that we see from them, the growth that we see, the journey that we've been on. I'm thankful for all of that, because it's nothing new, and it's nothing old. It's something every day. You never know what you're gonna experience. But I really am thankful for our children, and just seeing how happy and healthy that they are, and seeing, you know, especially with Ariel, going from the kind of student that she was in the beginning, when they would call her name and they call us and they tell on her and she'd be in trouble, to now them sending letters and notes home saying, you know, she's growing, she's doing really well, her grades are good. Just seeing the growth and potential in each of our kids is just a blessing. And I'm so thankful that even when they don't get along, that they love each other, and you can see it, because seeing the love is more important than anything else.
Definitely what she said. But, and I would add to that, for me, I'm thankful for Ericka. She's amazing as a mother and a wife. She puts up with all of us. She gets me most of the time, you know. When she doesn't, she lets me know. Which I do appreciate. She thinks I don't, but I do.
And you're on record as having said that.
Right. And and I've always said this to others about her. I'll be thinking something and she'll say it, and it's like, get out of here. Or I'll say something and she says, get out of my head. It's like, oh, come on now. And you know, there are times when we would say something together. It's like, oh wow. You know,
That's
just
huge.
it's amazing. So over this past year, God has been really faithful to us, and I'm grateful for that. But my family, my children, when I look at our children, and you know, they've got their flaws, they've got their things, they do all of what they do, but at the end of the day, I will put my children up against anybody's children anywhere when it comes to being trained and learning and growing, because they're receiving it.
That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
And I love him too.
Also on record. Your Honor, we can use this as evidence. So the last part of that same question, over the last year, what have you been most thankful for? And this is the first phase of the holiday season, if you will, not counting Halloween, but counting Thanksgiving as the beginning of the thankful or the holiday season. The last part of that question is, in your extended family, so that would include cousins, nieces, nephews, in-laws, grandparents, anybody who doesn't live in your house but is connected to you via blood or whatever means that they have connected to you. What are you the most thankful for in regard to those relationships?
I'm thankful that even though we don't see our family, our extended family every day, that when we come together, we can have a good time. No matter where we are, even on Facebook, whatever we, type, it's always something that says, hey, I got your back, I support you, I love you, I'm glad you're doing well, and just having that support of that extended family. The Owens family knows how to have a ball. And, in times that are so stressful, and in our culture, in our community, where everything seems like it can just be going haywire, our family can come together and we can make the best out of whatever it is we're doing, whatever it is we have.
Yes, I was just reminded of, there's a text of some family members, and someone will post something, and we all just kind of chime in scripture sometimes, just some words of encouragement. And for the longest time, Ericka wasn't included. We couldn't see her responses. She's like, I'm making them, so I think now we can see them now.
Okay.
So she's like, she's not responding or reading them. We just couldn't see them. But that is just good, because sometimes there's something that you read, and it just really like, yes. Yeah. It's like, thank you, and you send it, and other family members, and we're all over the place. And but that's one place we can come together and just share and just be like, love you all, love my family, and all those kinds of things. So that's wonderful.
As you guys are talking here, I'm struggling to keep myself within the parameters of this one, because the show is so big and I have so many questions. But I want to stay on topic of the holiday season. But trust and believe, if you're listening to the show, these people will be back many, 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 many times, because I have many, many more questions and many more thoughts to just share with people, like I said, who are like-minded people who may have different viewpoints that I may or may not agree with, and they may or may not agree with me, but we can still have an open dialogue, which is the most important thing for any type of relationship. You must have open dialogue and communication, where you can't be afraid to say things that you feel, even though it may rub against the grain of the other person, because if we haven't reached a point where we can, as Dr. King say, be peacefully disagreeable, we haven't really gone that far.
Right.
So our next question here, staying on topic here, being succinct as we try to be, what is your favorite time of the year, even if it's not the holiday time? What's your favorite time of the year to spend with family? And that's whether or not it is a holiday.
Christmas. I am a Christmas junkie.
Okay.
And not the commercial part of it.
Gotcha.
But I literally found out that the Christmas in July thing is a thing. I didn't know. I would listen to music in July. I just think 6 months in, there's 6 months until Christmas. So I would listen to it or find it, and before I would just be like, man, I want to hear some Christmas music. I'll start singing. But then when I started researching just a little bit and found out that's really a thing.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, wow. So I was on target, but I started listening to the music, my Christmas music, October 1st. Now, Ericka has a rule.
Gotcha.
That if I'm in her car, if she's in a car with me, no Christmas music until after Thanksgiving.
Wow.
So whenever I'm not around her, and the children have been subjected to this, is that I force them. They don't get a say in the matter.
As it should be.
I just don't like to skip Thanksgiving, but that's just
I
my own personal thing.
I feel
you. Because as soon as Halloween is over,
then
it's like Christmas everywhere. It's like, wait, there's another holiday here that comes before that. So but Christmas is.
Well, and this just happened this year, but our family reunion was like the best time I have had in 15, 20 years. Just being with the family. We didn't have to go anywhere. None of our plans came to fruition. Everything was just, it was so genuine.
Right.
That was so like heartfelt and warm for me. And that was just the best thing ever. And I like the holidays and, you know, all those traditional things.
Right.
But if you don't get to celebrate them with family, it's not the same.
Yeah.
So just being there with the family, that was just awesome to me. Amazing. I could have stayed another couple days myself.
I
I
agree.
agree, 300%. I always used to tell Valencia now, but even before, in regard to like whatever you do in your life, when I was single all that time, it was for me like goals are great and goals are fantastic, but for me, it's not that I didn't believe that I couldn't meet these goals. So meeting them wasn't a big deal to me, but to have somebody to see you go through these changes and to grow and to progress and to achieve goals, that's the biggest thing. Like who wants to achieve things by yourself so you can look in the mirror and say, okay, yeah, I did it.
Right.
I knew I could.
Right.
There's no fun in it, but there's fun in somebody saying, like, man, did you remember when we didn't know how we were going to do this, or we didn't know how we were going to get to this point, or how we achieved these things, and we can look back and say, this is where we've come from. These are the steps that we took, and this is the step on faith that we did. So I agree with you 259% out of the 300% that I said earlier. The second part of that question was a why, but I knew that it would get expounded on, so we don't even have to go there. Our third question here pushes us a little bit further, still in that same holiday season, still being thankful. This one is, and this one, feel free to expound as much as you can or as much as you want, because I know I would. So, what comes to your mind when you think on just the word? We'll say just the word, not anything else. Just the word Christmas.
For me, Christ. I see it. I was at one point I was saying Christmas.
Oh yeah.
But that's me, and it's been me for years now. I thought at one point that Xmas was terrible. I'm like, don't be Xing out Christ until I researched it.
Yeah, and
found out that it stood in the place of the word Christ, and it was code so that the people at the time wouldn't get persecuted because they were celebrating. I was like, whoa, so I use it now.
Now being the advocate that I am and the angry person that I am, everybody don't know that.
Right.
And he early on he was like, that also means Christos, which is the word for Christ in another language, and so so that X actually has more meaning.
Right. I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, definitely. So because of that, Christ means when it comes. I get Santa Claus, Frosty, Rudolph, and all those characters, but Christ is Christmas for me. For me.
And I don't want to be cliche or anything, but that's my answer. I'm not a copycat. But yeah, for me, it's all about Christ, and it's all about teaching our kids about Christ.
Right.
And it's all about just, everything that's happened in our lives is because of Christ.
Right.
And so when we come together on Christmas to celebrate, it's truly a celebration of his birth for us. And there are some other things that we do just like everybody else, and we shop and we, have a good time. We eat just like everybody else. But for us, the center of our Christmas is Christ. When we buy gifts, it's because we love our family like we love Christ, and everything that we do symbolizes Christ around that time.
Right.
I told our children, and Erica knows this, that they understand Santa Claus is not real.
Right.
They understand. And so Erica says, we work hard, and we're the ones who provide for you, and they should know that.
Yeah.
But I do say this. I told them, I said, if more people would take on a spirit of a person, who would give with no expectation of receiving anything.
Right.
And would do it because of the good things you do and the good behavior. And I'm like, man, how that could turn this world around.
Oh, yeah.
With that kind of a spirit. And I remember years ago I saw, it was a little character, some little things you could buy. And or maybe it was a picture, maybe it was, that it was Santa kneeling at the manger.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow.
For
me, that was kind of powerful. I'm like, even he recognizes, hey, I know what it's really about. I know what I do, or what they say I do. But here's the real reason why I even do what I do. So, it's kind of, it's Christ is everything for Christmas.
I agree. That is 100%. I'm gonna stop saying the percentages. I agree. My statement will be right. I agree. So the second part of that question, we've said what comes to our mind when we think of Christmas. This one was an interesting one when I thought about it when I wrote the question. So the question is, of all time up until this very day, today's the 23rd of November 2018, what was your favorite gift that you received of all time, if you can recall?
I recall mine, and mine was special. The gift is crazy, but it was really special for a reason.
Okay.
I received a Rainbow Bright baton.
Okay.
A twirling baton. And the reason that it was so special was because a couple weeks before, December 21st, my family had a fire.
Oh, I remember.
And our Christmas tree and everything under the Christmas tree burned up.
Yep.
And so that was one of those Christmases. I was only 8. So, as an 8-year-old, you are not thinking about the safety of your family and how great it is to have a new home and all of those things. My immediate thought was, what are we going to get for Christmas?
Right.
And so knowing that, we didn't have a place to go, we didn't have any furniture, any money, anything, just being able to get a gift, and somebody donated that to us. That made that all the more special. And I had just learned how to twirl a baton too, and it was one of those where it was filled with water, so you twirl it on one end and the water go to the other end,
with the sparkles
and it was
all
all sparkle. Yeah, it had the little sparkles and the shimmer, everything, and I was just excited about that. And that gift meant the world to me, to say somebody else was thinking about us as much as we were struggling. That made the difference for me that year.
Okay. All right, Delvis. If you can remember, don't have to be 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It could be.
Actually, one of the best gifts, if I could say it like this, was the first Christmas we had with Sarai.
Okay.
Just because she was new, it's like, this is a little life from the two of us. Oh, wow. It was, I don't think we had a whole lot, but is that when we had the home? We had the home, and I brought a tree, a fresh tree that 2 days before Christmas.
Oh, wow.
It was at least 8 feet.
Oh, wow.
Needles. Oh my goodness. And she's like, and Erica, she's like, I get you like Christmas, but really, like.
We had no decorations.
I'm trying to water this thing.
Simply a tree with white lights.
Yeah. But because we had a baby, little baby, that made it special for me.
Yeah.
and so that would be mine.
That is awesome. I do agree. So percentages there. I agree. Those are fantastic gifts. Okay, now here's the other part of the one that made me kind of laugh. And this one is, who was the hardest person you ever had to buy a gift for? And the second part of that is, what did you eventually get that person? And why, if you choose?
Your dad. Oh, goodness. My father-in-law, who I call Dad, Erica's dad. Oh, my goodness. She would be in it, and I'd be like, okay. We'd go look at stuff, and then her dad would say, get this for my wife, and then it's like, we got to shop for the two of them. Really? And Erica would always kind of do it. So what did we end up getting?
We ended up making stuff for him, like collage of pictures.
You can't lose with that.
And, stuff that's more sentimental.
Right.
I actually think one of the hardest people to buy for is Sarai. And the reason why is because she takes after me, and we don't have like the most expensive taste, but we don't give you any hint or idea of what it is that we want. Yeah. That makes it very, very difficult. So I usually just throughout the year, stuff she says she wants, I just keep a list of it in my phone.
It's best to.
Because otherwise you buy something and you be like, oh, I used to want that.
Right.
And you know, hurt feelings on Christmas morning is not a good thing. And so I just like, I just pay attention closely at other times and
see what's going on throughout the rest of the year.
Right.
The hardest thing I have is I don't like making Christmas lists, and the reason I don't is because like if I tell somebody there's something I want, it sticks in my head and I'll eventually buy it like in a week or two. So I can't help it. Like, oh, I really do want that. I ain't gonna wait till Christmas. I'll buy it next week. So that's a personal problem I have, but we're working on that.
So it's probably hardest to buy for you.
It could be, because the only way you would have to catch it like a day before, where there's no time for me to go out and get it, or no time for it to fester. That's probably the only way. Let's see. We did that one here. What's the next question we have here is. And this is you partially answered this one, so I'll ask you to expound on the previous answer because you partially answered this one. What was your best Christmas memory? As you partially answered, you said your first year having Sarai with the new tree in the house, and I know there's tons of memories, but again, I'm staying concise.
The best Christmas memory I have is the year my brother and I got a Nintendo.
That is an awesome year.
We stayed up all night.
Right.
Because we figured there was a Nintendo under the tree, and we knew that the box came in a box that was just about the size of that one that was under the tree.
Right.
And then we got up probably 6 o'clock that morning.
Yeah.
Opened that box and it was a Nintendo, and we could not play it till after we came from church. And so, but once we opened it and we got to play, and then my mom, you know, she was one, don't hook that on my good TV. So we had to play it on a black and white TV, the little tiny one that sat on top of something else. And,
but it probably didn't matter.
It did not matter, because I promise you we played that whole Christmas break.
Right.
We mastered Super Mario Brothers, and that was the most awesome Christmas ever.
What about you, Dale?
Christmas memory. I got so many.
What's the one that stands out just a hair above the rest?
Only because I found out that it's a memory. I guess it's kind of good, but kind of not. On Christmas Day, I hurried up and was with my family. I didn't stay long enough because I had to catch a plane to go to Las Vegas. So I went to Las Vegas, and I'm flying Christmas Day. Got to Las Vegas, and I'm like, it's nice and warm. And I'm looking at, palm trees with lights on them. And I realized this isn't Christmas for me. This isn't Christmas for me.
Right.
Being in Las Vegas on Christmas Day or the day after Christmas, I guess by that, it was the afternoon of Christmas Day. And, my family, I'm like, they're all the way in Milwaukee, and I'm in, Vegas with some friends, but I'm like, this sucks. So, a memory in that I'll never forget it.
Right.
And I'll know I'll never do it again.
Right. So that was the most vivid memory.
Right. Most vivid.
Right. The most vivid Christmas memory.
Happy memory. I'm gonna go back to with Sarai.
Right.
I tell you, she didn't know what was going on, but
I think I don't remember. I remember it was around that time, and you guys were at Erica's dad's house. I think that might have been the first time I saw Sarai, because when I didn't think she was real, because I thought it was a doll. She was so small. So I sat next to her, and I'm like, "Is this the baby for real?" Because she was so small. I remember
she looked like a doll.
Yeah. And she did look like a doll. Yeah. I'm like, why is it? This is a good-looking doll. Like, y'all must have paid some real money for this one. like, how did it look so lifelike?
That's the one that Oprah endorsed.
Right. Like the eyes open and everything. All right. So here's another good question here. Let's see. what are some Christmas traditions that you still do now as an adult that you might have done as a child or as a youth? We'll say child to youth. Gotcha.
Watch Christmas specials.
Really?
Yes. Charlie Brown Christmas, gotta watch it. And if the family can come, fine. If they don't want to come, I'm still watching it. I've been watching it for years now. Me personally, and she had to buy it for me because I couldn't find it every Christmas. It's a Wonderful Life.
Wow.
Just something about that show.
Yeah.
In black and white, because I don't like black and white pictures a lot.
Right.
But she got me the color version.
Oh, wow.
So happy about that.
You had to do some research for that one, for real.
And I've still never seen it.
Wow.
right. So I just Christmas. I've been doing it for years, and many years growing up. You know, my brothers were older, and I didn't have my younger sister and brother yet.
Right.
And mom was working, so I'd watch them by myself and just enjoy by myself watching them. But I'm now can pull one of my kids, and they be like, "Oh, Dad, you started to watch that."
Right.
I think our tradition that we still do now is we open one gift on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the first memory I have of it. I know we did it before, but my mother hoodwinked me because she was like, "You should open that one right there." And she was, so excited about it. I'm like, "Yes!" And it was a dictionary. And she had me open it because she needed it for something she had to do on Christmas morning at church. But I felt real hoodwinked. But that is the tradition. And then we don't put out everything for our kids that night.
Right.
So if I don't want them to open it, on
Just,
Christmas Eve, I'm just gonna wait till Christmas morning. But they do have a variety to choose from.
Okay.
On
the day
Christmas
of,
Eve
or Christmas Eve.
Yeah, to open one. So.
Okay. That's what's up. That's a good tradition. Sticking to being concise. Here. So the second part of that, was there a second part of that? Oh yeah. What are some new traditions that you do with your family? Some new ones that you may have started, or new ones that you saw somewhere and you were like, well, maybe we'll consider that one.
Well, one of the new ones that we do, because we have so much extended family, and my dad and his wife don't live here anymore, we do Christmas Eve with the whole family.
Okay.
And so we all come together. Last year, there were about 32 people crammed in our little bitty house.
Wow.
And we sit around, we have hors d'oeuvres and finger foods, and then we, talk, we play a few games, we sing a couple songs, we pass around a few gifts, but that's probably the only time that all the kids have been able to get together. So seeing your cousins and getting to spend a little bit of time with them. And then another thing that we just started last year is when we did it, we had a pajama party. So everybody had their Christmas pajamas on, and I like that. It was really relaxing that way, and everybody eat, sleep, eat some more, and that was really enjoyable.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And she said I wouldn't do it today, but I was trying everything. I guess I don't know if it's a new tradition, but we try to get the tree up the day after Thanksgiving. Now it never works out because it usually gets to December before I get it upstairs, and I finally gotten it where I just wrapped the tree up and it's still standing. Yeah. I'm looking for one of those bags, but they cost too much money.
Yes,
oh my goodness. $80 for a bag so it can stand up. Please.
Right.
The tree was 20.
Right. I got the tree at one of those
Clearance.
Yeah, it was a clearance, and it had lights on it, and it's a 7-foot tree.
A real tree?
No, it's an artificial tree.
Okay.
But I got it for $20.
Well, you
and
can't
so
beat that.
I learned how to, because some of the lights worked, some of them didn't.
Right.
And I worked with it and got all the lights off, and we put lights on it and things and all the rest of it.
But to buy an $80 bag would be ridiculous.
Right.
$20
So I just will not do that.
Right.
But I wrap it up. We got a bag.
Right.
That it won't fit halfway over. But I'm going to bring it up tonight.
Yeah.
If I have to be up by myself.
Yeah.
It's coming up.
Don't say worst case scenario. You can always get a tarp, wrap it up.
Right.
That'll knock it out. So let's see here. We got all the way down to, I believe this is, we're down to 3 questions left. 3 questions that I have on paper, but of course something may come up by the time we get to that question here. So the next question, the second to the last question here, is let's ask this. Are you a resolution or a non-resolution person for the new year?
I am not a resolution person because every year I just would end up being disappointed bringing in the new year.
Right.
So what I've learned is to just set small goals throughout the year, and those that I achieve, I still will celebrate, come New Year's Eve, and those I don't, then I'll just make sure that if it's something that I really want to do or need to do, that it just stays present, and it's not like making a resolution and then by the middle of the year it falls off the list and then you don't even revisit it.
Right. A
lot of the things that I want to achieve and attain in my life are things that are worth doing, no matter if it's January 1st or March 20th. It doesn't matter. Right. It's stuff that I just want to do for me and for my family. So I do not do resolutions because it's just you by January 13th it's like forget it.
Right. I was gonna say I forget what the percentages they say of people that set the resolutions. The percentage of people that have given up on them or have failed them by February, something like 80% or something. It's some ridiculous percentage.
Right. I'm definitely not a resolution person either.
Gotcha.
Only because it drives Erica crazy sometimes. I believe in plans and all of that. But I'm a moment by moment, at the moment, at the day.
Right.
Hey, what we doing today?
Right.
Let's just do it. Let's
Yep.
You want to do that? All right, let's do that.
Yep.
And I don't know, have you heard of vision boards?
I have.
And so I think that works better than a resolution because on a vision board, as long as you keep it present and you can keep seeing it and viewing it, it stays right in front of you.
Yeah.
Versus, I need to lose this weight or get my teeth fixed, whatever it is people want to do.
Or I'm going to go to such and such. And
And it's usually stuff that's extreme that people, resolve to do.
Right. That you haven't done in all the years prior to this point, and magically this year, you're going to knock it out. Right. So let's see here. This is a very interesting one, and one again that I have to remain concise on because it's such a good one that I'd like to expound on. So I'll have you find wonderful people expound on it here. If you could talk to yourself, so if you could step outside of yourself and talk to yourself from exactly 1 year ago, 365, at the beginning of 2018, the end of 2017, if you could talk to yourself from 1 year ago, what would you tell the past you, the 2017 you, about 2018? Now that you're coming to the end of 2018, what would you tell yourself regarding the upcoming year?
That's deep. I would tell myself that I need to do it. I have slacked off on a lot of stuff. And it's a habit. Yeah. And it's a cycle. And it's time to break some of those cycles so my family could be more successful.
Right.
And I tell myself to stop overthinking everything and every choice and just do it. There are two answers that you could get, a yes or a no. And if you don't try it, the answer is always no. So try it. Do it. And you can. I would encourage myself to know that I can do anything that I set my mind to.
Right.
And I can be successful at a lot more if I would just try.
Yeah.
For me, it would be, look, you've been told that you got just a little bit to go to get a degree. Just do it.
Yeah.
And that sort of, to just go, just knock that out.
Right.
And if I had told myself that, I'd be finished now.
By this time. Right.
So,
I thought of a question right where you were speaking here about speaking to the past. Here's another sub question on that. If you were able to step outside of yourself and ask yourself that question from a year being ahead, would you have listened to you?
I think I would have.
Yeah, I would have.
Our plans have been to move for quite some time, and both of us to go back to school, and you always set goals to work on this with your children or to encourage this. And I think that at least in one thing, I would have listened to myself, and that probably would have been to save some more money. Because knowing where you can be, you see all those plans at the beginning of the year, the monthly saving challenges, and my mother was just talking about the people who do the Christmas club having their money come out on December 1st, and then they do the Black Friday shopping, whatever. But just listening to myself to save, I'm like, man, I might have something right now.
Yeah.
I would have listened because I understand with my working career, that piece of paper means a whole lot to me.
It really does. It
So
really does.
It's like,
Right.
you know, I don't want to go buy one and get a fake one, you know.
Yeah.
Because you can do that.
Yeah, you totally
You
can.
know, I couldn't live with myself knowing that you just lied.
Right. So on that same tier, if you could speak to yourself from the beginning of 2018, if you could speak to that person right now, and if you were to talk to that person and they said, what's the one thing that has surprised you most about yourself personally within this year, through all that you've gone through all that you've seen, through all that you tried, for all that you wanted, what's the one thing that surprised you most about you? Or rather, let me rephrase it, what's the thing that challenged you the most and made you grow the most? I know you spoke earlier about your job, your boss challenging you, but what's outside of that? What's the one thing you would tell yourself that this process in 2018 we went through, since you're talking to yourself, and I was most surprised to learn this about me?
For me, it would be that I can take a lot more than I thought I could. I mean, stuff comes and situations come in our family, on my job, but you know, my skin's a little tougher than it's ever been, you know, in the field that I work in. Right. And you know, I talk to parents. It's like, it's scared to talk to your parents. It's scared to talk to your people. You know. Right. You know, neighbors. You know, you'd be like, come on, man. You know, we got some neighbors, but you just want to be like, I'm a little tougher than, you know, I've grown to the point where, you know, you saying something about me don't mean nothing to me.
Yeah.
I think as an adult, I went through a period of being scary.
Okay.
And in that means like, no, I don't want to say anything to this person because I don't want to deal with the consequences, the backlash. Right. I don't want to go in there. You know, I used to hate going places by myself because I don't want to have to go in here and talk to these people. Right. But I would tell myself, you are really not that scary, because when you don't have anything or anybody to do it for you, you got to do it yourself. And nobody is going to step up and do a whole lot for you. You know, you, however old you are, better put on your tough skin and go and do it. Right. And so just learning that I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was, and I'm a lot more brave, or, you know, I have the voice that I didn't know that I had. I would tell myself, use that voice to get what you want. Right. I know one time I missed out on an opportunity, and somebody was like, well, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And I'm like, I was being polite. At least I thought I was being polite. Right. You know, but now I know, speak up, speak out. And that way you get more of what you want. Oh, yeah. And more of what you've earned when you learn to do that. And so I know you didn't ask this, but I'm still going to say it. That's all right. But going into this next year, there are some things that I'm looking forward to standing up for. And you know, there are some things I feel like I deserve, that I need to say something about. And because I have found that voice, I know that I can, you know, use it to advocate for me, advocate for my family. Right.
I agree. That question that I asked wasn't on there, but it made it something that resonated with me. So I wanted to know, what if I could talk to myself, what's the one thing that I would say, man, I was surprised that you did this. I was surprised that I was surprised we did this. Right. So that's a good question that helps me find out what my people is thinking. And we're still, like I said, we're on the same page here. So now we have come down to the final question that I have written here, but of course, again, anything can transpire and a question can come up. So what plans, tentatively speaking, I know plans are, you know, they say that man makes plans and God laughs. So, so we'll say, tentatively speaking, on this date, what plans, loose or fully formed, do you have regarding your 2019 that you would like to see? And that could be on any platform, personal, professional, family, whatever, relationship, whatever.
Well, I think it's necessary to, first of all, as a family, to plan together. So our plan right now is to find a home in a new place. And so we are looking to relocate to another state. And in that, that means planning to find new employment.
Yep.
Which also means for at least one of us planning to go to school to get either a further degree or a degree.
Yeah.
And just that is an exciting plan. It's scary.
Right.
But it's exciting at the same time.
Yeah. I've heard that if your plans don't scare you, that you haven't thought big enough.
Yeah.
So
That's a good thing.
that's an interesting theory, because I'm like, well, I mean, some of that to get you killed, won't it? I mean, like, if I'm too scared, like, I don't want to plan to get electrocuted or nothing. So, Delvis?
Ditto. No, definitely. I'm going to. One of the things I would like to see, and I'm so close. I'm a good, and Erica helped me get some perspective on this about going to school.
Right.
I've been working in my field for over 20 years, and that alone, gives me an edge over a lot of the coming straight out of college.
Right.
People who. But unfortunately, it doesn't allow you to be managers and the senior management area because of it. But if I do get a degree, and she was just speaking about that, if I get a degree now, it'll be so that my children can see that it can be done.
Yeah.
No matter what's going on, because mommy has a bachelor's and a master's now. She might get a doctorate. I don't know.
Yeah.
Daddy gonna get just his bachelor's to let you know it can be done. And you go ahead and do it and go as far as you want to go.
Right.
So that's why I would do it.
Now to that point, what we were talking about earlier, do you think that, let's say you were still single at this point, do you think it would mean as much to achieve the degree, or any goal? But we'll say degree.
And when you were saying that, it wouldn't. I have people who I know now, who I hung out with when I wasn't married and didn't have family.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting back one day saying, is this it for us?
Yeah.
Is this what we do?
Right.
We go out and eat, and we're not partiers, so we don't do that. And, we're church people, so I'm like, we go to church, we go out to eat, we occasionally get together, go to the movies or something, but it's always a group of us.
Right.
I'm like, I want to share my life with somebody.
Exactly.
I want to share my life with my children.
Exactly.
I've always wanted to be married.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to have a family. Not maybe a big one. I was never a big family person.
Gotcha.
But I always wanted a family. And to this day, I don't, we don't do a whole lot of things together because they just don't aspire to that.
Right.
And they make strides. They get on Facebook saying, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wow, you share that with all of us on Facebook.
Yeah.
But you have nobody to, when you close that door to your home,
That's
say,
it.
hey, man, look what happened, or, whichever way,
Right.
So it's just like, it wouldn't mean as much by myself with nobody to share with.
Right.
Now I got a reason to do. There's a motivation to, hey, you can do this too.
Yeah.
Daddy did it.
Yep.
And I think that for a lot of people who are single and successful, that just gives them something else to chase.
Yeah.
And I think that being married and having a family, once I chase something and I reach it, I feel like I can relax.
Right.
I've achieved something huge.
Right.
And so now I can sit and I can relax and I can work within it. Yeah. And I'm not always just going.
Right.
And so I think that gives you, once you reach a big goal, you have somebody to celebrate you.
Yeah.
Somebody to celebrate with you.
Right.
But you can also say, okay, I did that.
Yeah.
And so then now I could support somebody else on their journey to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
But if I was single, I'm pretty sure it'd be like one thing done, let me go to the next. That's done, let me go to the next. And it would be constant, go. And I wouldn't be able to sit and relax in my achievements. I would just be trying to go bigger. And that doesn't even necessarily mean better. That's not even good, for you, because you can go to the top and fall.
Yeah.
So just being aware that now I can lift somebody else up and hold somebody else up, and having children and they get older and you see, there's more stuff they want to do.
Yeah.
And so once I achieve my goal, then I say, okay, let me support this one and what they want to do. And let me support the other one and what they want to do. And let me, take some time to support my husband now. Yeah. But when you're single, it's all about me. And so it's the outreach is a little smaller there. So
And to that point, while you're speaking there, it reminded me of I want to say it was either a program or like a snippet of a program that I was watching, and it was talking about divorce, and it was talking about the impact that it has on the family, not just the kids or the mother or the father, but they were saying that in cases where, you know, the parents have been together for a while, if the mother was normally the nurturing person, or she was normally the person that cooked, we'll say cook, or no, let's say she was normally the person that did fix its stuff around the house. When that person is gone, you lose that intellectual property inside the home. So the kids no longer have a reference to know how to fix things. And I'm like, wow, that's an interesting thought. Mm-hmm. Or they no longer have a reference to balance their money. So it affects it. It puts them off kilter. And what you said in regard to goals there, I believe it's the same thing. So not only do your family get to celebrate you on your goals, but they also get to see the path that you took to get there. So they, in addition to you meeting that goal, they could say, I know how to meet that goal too. Mm-hmm. So that's that same intellectual property that you can pass down, that intangible stuff that gets passed down from generation to generation, because I saw mom do this, or I saw mom or dad accomplish that. So I don't have to worry about the things that I might have done if I had done it on my own. And that's a beautiful thing. So
and that's like when I was in school to get my master's degree, Sarai and Ariel were both 4.
Right.
And so, you know, they had just started school, and they would see me sit down and do my homework. And that was the beginning of their journey with schoolwork, with homework. And that was teaching them something. Just, you know, I'm reading a book, so guess what it's time for everybody to do? Sit down and read a book. And that's, you know, just speaking to what you were saying, that example of I see it, and I know I can do it. I know I should be doing it.
Right. And there's something, and I'll be succinct because we're talking about the holidays. But to that point, I think there's an unspoken and very underrated value that the family can provide, and not just a big family, but it could just be 2 people that you can provide when you can be an example of something that a person may or may not even know that they can achieve. Just because you had a dream, like it was a person told, and a minister told me one time, not me, but speaking to people, he was talking about, you never know how many people's breakthrough, if you will, or victory is hinged upon you taking a chance. So you took a chance not knowing the other person or not knowing anything that they were going through or what they wanted, but because you took a chance, they saw you succeed, and they were able to overcome their fear for whatever they wanted to do, and they took their chance on that thing. So because you decided to, and it could be something simple, because you decided to, you know, start a new, you know, program at your job where you read books to kids, this person decides to go back to school and become an English professor, and now he's helping all these thousands get these unrelated topics and these unrelated things because one person chose to follow their goal. And I thought that's a beautiful thing when we are close enough to see each other achieve our goals, or even try to achieve our goals. It's a beautiful thing, and I want to be succinct again, because it's a wonderful thing when you can talk to people who are on the same wavelength, or people who want the best for themselves and for their families. So we have reached our final question. The last question that we asked was our final question here, so I'll leave it up to you individually here. If you had any final thoughts to surmise the holiday season for you individually, what would you say? If I had to say, give me a quick blurb on your perspective on the holiday season thus far in 2018, knowing that we haven't yet reached Christmas, and we haven't yet reached New Year's. What are your thoughts, and what are your hopes and your wants?
For me, just love people, love one another, love yourself.
Yeah.
And for me, love God.
Yeah.
But love, or if more people would love.
Yeah.
If we would love more.
Yeah.
And it would change the world.
I agree.
I would say a lot of our answers to the questions that you asked were around family.
Yeah.
And family is how you define family.
Right.
And I think that it's important to remember during these times to surround yourself with people who love and support you.
Yes.
And whatever that looks like, it doesn't look the same for any of us.
True.
But it's important to embrace what we have.
Yep.
And for the people in the United States, you know, a lot of this is focused on shopping and, you know, partying and whatever else. Mm-hmm. But just know that this is also a time where you need to surround yourself with love, like Delvis said, because this is the season where people are or have a tendency to be more loving.
Right.
And so just recognizing that now is the time to take a step back and get and give.
Right.
And so just remembering in all things that we do, that we need to be with one another.
Right. I agree. Again, I'll give 1,000%. That's my last percent for today. So I agree 100%. I thank both of you, both Ericka and Delvis Malone, for stopping by and for indulging me in this little project. And I promise that these two will be back many times. They don't know it yet, but they definitely will. I'll catch it on the cell phone or however I can get it. But you have to use the pools of information that are around you. And I think these are two wonderful bodies of water, if you will, to glean information from. So that has been today's episode here, and of course you can catch us whatever I decide to say at this point. It'll probably be cut and I'll throw something in there here. You can catch us again, and we'll have many of these holiday messages, and that's about it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Next time on Some Roses Are Red. Today in our home studios, we have Vibrancy. That's Vibrancy.
I ended up getting a tree way too big for the house. And it was folded under the ceiling. I was just like, what is going on? I'm also excited to just try new things that scare me. I actually just auditioned for 2 fashion shows and got into a lingerie fashion show.
Whoa.
So I've never done
That would scare me.
I've never done modeling before.
Okay.
So the fact that I got picked to be a runway model was really interesting, and I was like, all right, you know what? It's 2019 coming up, right? So
right. Where did the name Vibrancy come from?
Vibrancy first came to me a while back. It was only with 1A though. But the thought behind Vibrancy was kind of like a chord where you, like, if you think of a guitar, you play one string and that note is perfect, especially when it's tuned and everything. You pluck that string and it's a perfect note. It's beautiful. When you pluck another string, it's a different string, but when you pluck that one string, it's also beautiful,
Right.
And so they're both beautiful in their own rights, but when you play them together, you're not sacrificing anything from that first note or that second note. You pluck them together and now you have a chord, and now it creates more than just a note. It's more of a feel.
Right.
And so without any of those notes or the strings sacrificing anything, they didn't have to change. They remained the same, but just doing it together made it so much better.
79, 79, 7.